Hi, I'm just here doing the check over on your 2018 Honda TRX420FM1. I love all the initials they have in Honda bikes. Anyway, so let's just go through the check over items that I completed, and I'll just touch on any issues that you have that you need to have addressed now or in the near future. Overall, the bike's not in horrible shape or anything like that. Just a few little things that are starting to get to they need a bit of attention. So I have a list, which is my check over sheet. We're just going to go from the bottom of the bike to the top. So hopefully this won't take very long. I checked your brake pads on both sides. They're in good shape. Your brake calipers are moving freely, so that tells me that the sliders on them, they're not seized up or anything like that, so that's good to see. I checked your CV boots on your front axles on both sides, so there's no issues with any of them. I don't see any cracks or any signs that CV grease has been leaking out of them or anything like that. I've already changed the front differential fluid on this bike. I checked your steering. On both sides of the bike, you have play, and you should have new outer tie rod ends, so they're starting to get some play in them. Also on both sides, you also have some play in your upper ball joints, so you can see my wet, oily finger was there a little while ago. Sorry for the sun shining on everything and making it so bright. I'll try to go over here. It's coming in my big transom windows over there this time of the day, so anyway, so upper ball joints, both sides. Let's see. I think that was it for the front. There was any other problems. I checked your coolant level. This bike has the Honda HP coolant in it. I think that's good for like 4 or 5 years or something like that. Honda doesn't. I don't think they even specify in an owner's manual when you're supposed to change it out. I think it's something you have to go to a dealer and they tell you when to change it out. I can look it up in a service manual, but it's good. It's in good shape for now. And I also checked up here in the radiator to make sure that the level was up in the rad as well. When I take the bike back outside, because of course I've already changed the engine oil and stuff, I'll let it run, get up to operating temperature, and make sure your cooling fan is turning the way it should. The bike is a bit muddy, but the radiator looks like it's not in horrible shape. It's kind of hard for me to see in there. Just want to make sure that you know that after you drive your bike and you get a lot of mud and stuff on it, like it is right now, just to make sure to run a little bit of fresh water through that radiator with the garden hose. Not a high pressure hose, just a regular garden hose end. And just to make sure you get all the mud and stuff flushed out of it, because that makes sure that your cooling system's running the way it's supposed to. Let's see. So I think that's it on the front end of the bike. If I forgot something, I hope I haven't. I also checked your wheel bearings, and all your suspension bushings and your shock bushings and stuff, and all those are in good shape too. Back end of the bike, I sometimes dread seeing Honda solid rear axle bikes, just for the reason that there's a lot of seals involved in this in the back end of these bikes. So there's a seal here, there's a seal here, there's a seal here, there's a seal here, and there's 2 or 3 seals for your brake drum and all that stuff. So there's a lot of spots where things can go wrong for sure. One thing I always try to mention to people, and I've already done this with yours, is that your rear brake drum actually has a little drain plug. And I just would encourage you every so often. You don't have to do it every day or every ride, even if you just do it once a month. Pull that, unscrew that drain plug. It has a sealing crush washer on it, and just make sure that there's no water that comes out of that drum, because if you have water in the drum, it means one of the seals have failed, and what'll happen is you'll have other issues start to happen, and you'll have bearings go, and then the water works its way into the differential, and then you have all kinds of other issues. So always a good idea. That's sort of your first line of defense to find out if you get any problems with your sealing areas in the solid rear axle in the back of these Hondas. I did check your fluid. I've just checked the quality of it so far. I never pulled off the check plug yet to see what the level is in it. I happen to have this, I think there's like this much Honda of gear oil. It's 80W90 that you're supposed to use in these. And I just poured a little bit out here on the paper so that you could see it. And this is the sample that came out of your bike. So you can see it's not horrible shape, but it's starting to get dirty. I do believe Honda recommends changing these out. I think it's 1,000 kilometers or every 6 months or something along those lines. If it's been a while since you changed it, we've already got a container of 80W90. I use Torco. Started for your front differential that I will be sending with your bike, but we can also do the rear change. You just pull the plug and drain it out and fill it back up again. That way you don't have to worry about it. Lastly, on your back end, this is your indicator for your brakes. So the way I do it is I just put your, I have your parking brake on up there at your handlebar, and I just come back and I see if this little arrow lines up with this other little arrow, and if they line up together, you need new drum brake shoes in the back end. So yours are still in good shape. I will make some adjustment to the cables after I clean the ends up and stuff on them, but otherwise they're in good shape. Let's see. Just give me a second here. I have to go through what I have. So I load tested your battery. I think we can lower the bike down. I don't think we need to be up there anymore. Sorry for the pause. So, a couple things up here. So the first one's obvious. So that's you have little friends somewhere that are making nests in beside your battery. I don't like to encourage them to stay there, so if you'd like, I can take my shop vac and I can suck all that out of there for you, because what they usually leave behind besides that is urine and other things, and it just ends up you have a bike that stinks. This one doesn't yet, but just I can suck it out for you if you like to have that done. I load tested your battery. I see this a lot in the spring of the year. Bikes that'll come in, the bikes have been sitting and not being run, and maybe they didn't have any kind of a trickle charger on them over the winter months and stuff. Your battery is down on charge. It's rated at 200 cold cranking amps, and right now it's putting out 175. For a Wayusa battery like that one, that's pretty low, because usually Wayusas are rated at 200, but they'll put out like 270 or something like that. So it is down on charge, 41%. I can put a battery charger on it, and we'll charge it all up as much as we can, and see if that makes a difference. And you can actually see all those little green spots. Those are little presents from your mice friend. Anyway. So we can see if we can fix that up. And usually my tester, if it says charge and retest, most of the time it brings them back, and you can keep going with the battery. So hopefully we won't need one. Your air filter. So you can see that it's starting to get a bit dirty. Usually what I recommend for these, I can clean them and I can wash them out and I can re-oil them. And the time that it'll take extra to do that, and the cost of the oil and the cost of the cleaner outweighs the cost of the filter. So what I usually recommend for these, I think a new filter is like 25 bucks and it comes pre-oiled. I can put a new air filter in it for you. And I can also clean out anything we find down the bottom of the air box down there, because you can see there's a little bit of stuff. I checked all your lights, all the headlights, tail lights, brake light switches on both left and hand grips, and they're all working fine. Your brake foot lever on this side moves nice and free. That is a problem I see with some Hondas, is sometimes the little pivot point down in there, that those will start to seize up, but you must use yours enough that it keeps it from doing that. Just 1 second here. Just give me a minute. I gotta flip through my list to make sure there's nothing that I'm missing. I'm trying to keep it under 10 minutes here for you. Oh yes, last thing, brake fluid. So I've already had the cap off, and I'm going to clean that that little bit of brake fluid that's off there so it doesn't eat the paint away. The brake fluid on your bike, I'd have a moisture meter, a little moisture tester, and I like to see it under 3%. So yours is at 3%. So the way the little meter works is it goes to 2, and then when it goes to 3, it says, oh, well, maybe you should start changing that. So basically, on any bike, see if we can zoom in. Oh, look at that, we can see it. There's a little small hole right here in the end of your master cylinder, and I think there's another one on the other end. So when you pull your brake on, something has to go in on top of the fluid as the fluid lowers in the reservoir to take up that space, and that's air. And what ends up happening over time is that as you do that, you end up having your fluid ends up getting exposed to a little bit of air each time, and there's moisture in the air. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, so it likes to absorb moisture out of the air. And then eventually what happens is that you get enough moisture in there. Yours is actually getting a little bit discolored. It's not horrible bad. And then eventually what happens is you start having problems with the lines corroding or rotting from the inside. I have a Can-Am Outlander sitting outside the garage door that was 10 hours labor to replace the brake lines on it because they were rotten and all the brake fluid. Wouldn't be as in-depth in your bike. Can-Am, the brake lines are interlocked from front to rear, and there's a lot of stuff. Basically, all this stuff on the top of your bike would have to come off if it was a Can-Am, so we wouldn't have to worry about that. Anyway, good maintenance to do. You don't have to do it right now. It's completely up to you. You can do it at the end of the year or something like that before you put the bike away, but I would recommend changing that brake fluid out sometime in the very near future. I think that is it, and I'm sorry I'm over 10 minutes. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll price out the parts and stuff that you need extra for putting the bike back into shape and getting it ready for the summer. Thanks.